It's summer, and when it comes to food, we associate it with certain ingredients and foods. Peppers are in season, and we're gonna use those to make one of my favorite summer dishes. That's right, we're making stuffed peppers. For me, that's pure nostalgia. Let's roll! We can start by prepping the vegetables for the stuffing. I've got 2 big carrots that I'm just gonna nip the ends off and slice into big chunks. I'm not gonna bother dicing them any smaller, you see why. I also have 2 medium-sized onions. That again, I'm gonna cut the ends off and slice into quarters. Peel the skin off, and that takes care of our onion. We'll also need a few cloves of garlic that we're just gonna give a rough smack and get rid of the husks. And that's our stuffing veggies prepped. Now, what I like to do is whenever I make a stew or anything like that, I like to throw them in the food processor so they get chopped up real fine. That way, they almost disintegrate into the sauce. So into the food processor they go, and that's the reason why we didn't bother cutting them any finer. Make sure you don't walk away though and keep an eye on them. We don't want to end up making a vegetable smoothie. That's the size that we're aiming for. If you want a comparison, I guess that's a lento size. And we're ready to cook these. But then, when everybody looks left, Ro likes to go right. I like to fry off the mince first, and then use the beef fat and fond in the pan to cook the veggies in. You know, it's just one of those little things that adds up and then in the end makes the dish taste so much better. So in a screaming hot pan, we're gonna pour some neutral oil and carefully add our mince, 500 grams of it. I'm using beef, but you can use whatever you want. You can use pork, you can use lamb. Hell, you can skip the meat altogether and add rice and make them vegetarian. Season, of course, with a couple of good pinches of salt and freshly cracked black pepper. Just try not to overcrowd the pan, otherwise the meat is gonna steam instead of frying and picking up that lovely color. Now don't get impatient. Let it cook on the initial side for a few minutes before flipping it so it can pick up some nice crust and that Maillard reaction can take place. What that is the reaction between the amino acids and the reducing sugars, which produces the distinct brown color and flavor. Basically makes your food taste real good. Once we've browned our mince, we can scrape it out of the pan and drain it as best we can. We're gonna use this fat that's loaded with flavor to cook the vegetables in. Pour those in. Season of course with salt and pepper, as always when we add something new to the pan. Add a big pinch of dried oregano and let those cook for at least 10-15 minutes on medium-low. That's gonna give us plenty of time to prep our rice. I've got 1 cup of jasmine rice, but you can use short grain, which I'm gonna pour into a bowl and run under the tap while stirring. What that does is get rid of the excess starch that coats the individual rice grains. Less starch, less clumpy rice. Rinse and repeat a few times until the water starts running sorta clear. Drain the rice and it's ready to join the stuffing party. Speaking of which, we've just added the mince to the now cooked vegetables, to which we're gonna pour half a can of tomatoes and reserve the second half. Stir the tomatoes in and we can add our rice. Along with 1 cup of water or any type of stock. Cook for just a minute or 2 more or until that liquid gets absorbed by the rice. Make any final adjustments to the seasoning, stir that in, and our stuffing is done. It's time to make the peppers ready to receive that stuffing. Stick a paring knife in at an angle and then run it all the way around. Then pop the top off along with the seeds. Now don't go throwing these out, these are our little pepper lids. The peppers are going to turn into little pots that the stuffing is going to steam into. Just slice the seeds off and reserve the tops. Then go in with the tip of the knife, cut off the remaining pith and pull it out. That's how you clean one, now do it for the rest. I also like to cut these little vents on the bottoms of the peppers. You know, for heat and sauce circulation. I'm gonna bake mine in this old clay pot. This thing has seen 3 generations, okay? My grandma used to make me stuffed peppers in this. Arrange our peppers in and spoon in our stuffing. One tip I can give you is don't pack them in because the rice is gonna expand as it cooks. You're probably gonna have some stuffing left over, so just add that straight into the pot. And then we're gonna make a little sauce. Stay with me. We're gonna make a little roux situation. And what that is just some hot fat that we're gonna cook some flour into. Stir it in until all the flour is incorporated into the fat. And then keep cooking while stirring for another couple of minutes. We're trying to cook out that raw flour smell and flavor. Then add a tablespoon of paprika and stir that in. Paprika burns easily, so no more than 30 seconds while constantly stirring. Then add the rest of that can of tomatoes and stir that in. Season your roux with a big pinch of salt. Next, we're gonna slowly start adding about a liter of cold water, just a splash at a time while stirring. Hot roux and cold liquid equals no lumps. In the beginning, that might look like a disaster and you're gonna be like, oh my god bro, what the f***? Trust me, just keep adding and stirring. Eventually all of that liquid is gonna get absorbed and you're gonna end up with a nice smooth sauce. As soon as it comes up to a boil and it thickens a little bit, we're calling it done. Ladle the sauce over and around the peppers. Once the peppers have been sauced, the last thing we need to do is pop their little hats on. Pop those in the oven for about an hour at 180 degrees Celsius, or until you see this. Chop some fresh parsley on top. And we're ready to eat. And the way you do that is you slice the pepper open. Pour some yogurt. Top with more sauce. And an extra pinch of parsley. I'm just gonna leave you with this, you have to try it. Roll out.